Hello, this is part 2 to the video making hand-sewn sample shoes with PU soles or polyurethane soles at the Warlock factory. Thank you for watching and I hope you enjoy it. So again, we start this video with the shoes going inside the heating machine. This evenly heats up the shoes on top of the last so that they mold easier to the last. So these are the shoes after they've come out. They've got some protection underneath the laces so that the laces do not damage the leather as they're being made with the last inside there, because there's lots of tension with the last uh, inside the shoe. So the shoes are drying out with the moisture from the leather. They're all being stretched out and they're all pliable inside the uh, last, and they're getting good form. We're here inspecting them, looking at them again because they're samples, comparing the black and the brown ones and seeing how the shoes came out. The ones on the right, the gentleman's hitting to with the wood, not with the metal or anything like that, because he didn't want to damage the leather, to smooth it out. Now he's heating up the shoe and he's burning off the excess thread that is prevalent on shoes. So after the shoes are made, they've got to make them nice and clean, and you'll see him in just a second as he takes that shoe in his hand and he'll heat it up with the machine off to the right, and he'll basically be burning off the excess thread. Now he's got to be careful because that machine's really hot, and he just points it at the areas where the thread is so that he's able to heat it up and melt the laces off, because the laces are made from nylon or polyethylene or polyester type thread. So there it goes. That's heating up the thread. Um, and these are just the steps that they do at the end to make sure the shoes look good before they go into the soling area. So these are the last of the shoes. Checking them out, making sure everything's looking good before they go into the machine, finishing up the last of the samples that we're making for this production run. So here he is inserting the last onto the post for the injection soling machine. He's making sure the front of the last is properly placed, and then he's bringing up the mold cavities to this injection machine. These molds are specially made. They're made from aluminum, and they're not cheap. They're about $2,500 per mold. So he's inspecting everything, making the calibrations, getting everything dialed in, because again, these are samples, so you get a one-shot deal. They get made, and once the soles are injected on them, if they're not correctly placed or properly placed, then the shoe's a waste. So unfortunately, you have to do your due diligence at the beginning, because otherwise you'll have a lot of waste at the end, and you'll have to throw the shoes away. So these are the shoes pre-set up in this injection soling machine. It's a 9-station, I believe. I can't remember. The stations represent how many molds are there. And they put the shoes in place before they start the injection machine coming around the tracks to inject the various mold cavities for the polyurethane to fill up the molds. So here they are in the proper placing, and we're just waiting for the machine to come down the track to do its job. But these are the various shoes we made. We got some brown ones. That's with the leather heel in the back. You can see it properly lasted. The back strap is in place. It's properly held in place in the front. So there's lots of pressure holding the shoe into the mold cavity so that when the injection happens, the polyurethane doesn't seep out. So there's lots of pressure holding the shoe in place onto the mold. So it's real critical that it gets dialed in just right so that it fits the cavity and the curvature of the sole, fits the curvature of the mold so that there is no gapping. So this gentleman's doing some adjusting to the machinery, making sure that everything comes into play just right with the post and everything. And he's doing final adjustments before he starts the machine up and does the injection. When they're doing the full production, they basically get it set up and they just run the shoes, and it's a lot faster. But when you're dealing with samples and you got to make sure everything gets dialed in right because it's different from the previous production. It takes a little bit of time to set things up. So that's what he's doing now, is he's setting up all the various stations, making sure everything's in proper placement, making sure that the straps are at the right height, the shoes are lasted just right. Uh, Again, to make sure that the shoes, when they're finally finished, they're produced exactly as expected. So this is the technician working the polyurethane machine. He's not happy with the way that one was setting, so he's going to go and make a few minor modifications to the shoe on the last, so that when he comes back, it'll be properly placed in position in respect to the molds. So here he's got it back on the machine. He's dialing it back in, making sure it's in the right position, and he's going to look at it, get it dialed in. These machines, at least this machine, was made in Italy. They're very expensive. They're about $130,000 machines. Like I say, the molds are about $2,500. Here's the injector coming down the line. Those tubes in the back feed into feedstocks, the polyurethane tanks that are in the middle of the machine, and the injector will extend out, attaching to the nozzle receiver at the base of the mold, and it'll inject the polyurethane inside. Uh, the bottom of the mold will come up. There you go. You see it right there come up, and the polyurethane is injected. You can see it actually come out of the top of the mold. That's not supposed to happen. With the mold properly placed, it will not do that. That mold must have had some sort of issue with it. This one you'll watch. He places the machine. The injector will come out. The mold bottom plate comes up, and it's already done. This machine has two colors. We have black and brown, so they have black and brown feed coming from different tanks, or different. Well, it's coming. The polyurethane is coming from the same tank, but they've got a coloring agent that's added for the brown. Those shoes right there have a neoprene back to it. Some of the other shoes had leather. We were testing out the variable differences that they might offer to the consumer. We found that the lycra neoprene was superior in comfort than the leather. The leather had a nicer look, but this two-tone look with the lycra neoprene was popular. So the machine will move down to the next mold. He'll have to clean off the nozzle periodically, as the polyurethane will leak out from the nozzle injector, and it'll cool with time, and it'll build up, so it won't make a nice uh, contact with the mold. So they have to periodically scrape it off and clean it. The polyurethane, when it comes out, here he is cleaning it. The polyurethane, when it comes out, is very hot, and then it cools over time after it's inside the mold. But while it's hot, it's expanding inside the mold. There's the bottom part coming up. The injector's finished. Checking the other molds, making sure everything looks good. These are actually after they've been injected. These are finished. There's a brown one you can see, completely filled. Put that off to the side. You'll open up the next mold, pull out the next shoe. There's a black one. flock sole. There's some flashing on the edges, which is normal. They'll trim that off at a later date. But inspecting, making sure everything filled up completely. They've got a precise amount that they inject inside, allowing the full cavity to be filled with the foam. If for whatever reason there's an obstruction in the cavity or they don't inject enough, it won't fill up the cavity completely. So they've got to get it just right. The brown one. Now this is where they trim off the edges. He's taking the shoe out of the last out of the shoe. Some of the shoes are already sitting on the rack. So he's going to undo the laces, providing less tension over the last. He's going to bend the last and then pop off the shoe. Take out that protector piece. Same process. So let's set the shoes over there on the racks. As they pop them off, there'll be an individual like me come over in this case and do a little inspection. I'm a happy daddy looking at his babies that were just created, just seeing how everything looks, getting my first feel for whether or not I think this will be a good project or not. I need to wear bifocals, so I'm looking over the top of my eyes as I look at the shoes. This is the trimming device, cutting off the flashing extra pieces of polyurethane that leaks out of the molds. They got to have a little excess to make sure the full mold fills up, and this is the excess that comes out. Now that's a sharp little knife that comes cuts on a wheel, so you got to be careful, keep his fingers out of the place, because it will take off whatever you put in there. But if you're fast and careful, you can get a lot done. If you're fast and careless, you can cut off your finger. So there I am inspecting the finished product after it's been cut and cleaned off. Talking to the factory production manager. He's explaining things to the technician, and I'm happy. You can see by my pants, not a rich man, but I was happy getting these shoes made. This was one of the happiest days of my life, for seeing the finished product. Besides having my baby born, this was a great day. Oh, I love those shoes. Well, that brings us to the end of the video. I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching. It was a lot of fun making the shoes and putting the video together for your enjoyment. If you have any questions or any comments, you can reach me by email at jimr@perfectfittingshoes.com, or you can visit our contact page on our website, perfectfittingshoes.com. Thank you very much again, and I hope you have a good day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.